Coming up this afternoon, after 59 years of the name Kotoka International Airport, government is set to submit a new bill to Parliament for the possible change of Ghana's largest international airport.
Also, the ZAR, Senior Staff Association of the University of Ghana, announced a nationwide strike over government's failure to address demands for improved working conditions despite numerous protests and negotiations.
This afternoon, we'll also be giving you some updates on progress of work on some big push projects across the regions. It's News Central live on TV3. I'm Kemini.
And I am Mawin Egbeta. The bulletin starts right now. Now, it's been 59 years since the National Liberation Council government changed the name of Ghana's international airport from the Accra International Airport to the Kotoka International Airport in honor of Lieutenant General Emmanuel Kwesi Kotoka. Kotoka was a casualty in a botched coup attempt on April 17, 1967 in what became popularly known as Operation Guitar Boy. Decades down the line, agitations by various groupings have pressured successive governments for a change in the name, as the name remains a stark reminder of the overthrow of Ghana's first president, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. In the last few weeks, fresh pressure has been brought to bear on government again. This afternoon, Majority Leader Mahama Ayariga says the Mahama administration is set to change the name into a new one, with a bill set to be presented by the Transport Minister to Parliament. Let's take you to the legislature right now, where the majority and minority leaders are addressing news conference in relation to quite a number of issues. But let's connect first off with political historian, Professor Edu Jemfi, with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. We'll take it to Parliament in a bit as well in relation to this. Prof, we've sought to do a little bit of history as to why we got the name Kotoka, but walk us through that for starters as to how we arrived at the name the Kotoka International Airport, and then perhaps we'll get on to what this new name change possibly could mean.
Thank you very much. Right. You would agree with me that the fundamental ethos for naming places, institutions, streets, and all that have had their own historical connotations. The fundamental aspect of it is when individuals have achieved great heights and better, and when individuals have lived a certain kind of life that is worth emulating and all that. The spirit with which we have seen it is also being named is that individuals who are martyred, individuals who were considered as great statesmen and played significant role in those arrangements in state building are also commended and given the kind of honor to be remembered, right, or commemorated from time to time as individuals use these facilities. I mean, the issue is quite obvious. You would agree that if we were viewing and naming places based on Asante cosmology, Akan cosmology, or even other cosmology, or the other means of naming, it is rather to name a place to shame a people that you would want to name that place, right, to reflect somebody who was not a hero or heroine,
right,
or played a role that is more pleasing and that rather led to an accountable society. The 1966 coup d'etat, my brother, marked a major inflection point in Ghana's history. You would agree that it necessitated coup d'etat and counter coup d'etat in our country's history. And across the West African region, it gave the impetus for other individuals who had caught the coup fever to push that agenda and to achieve that goal of coup making. So fundamentally, I am at sea, growing up as a young man, to really appreciate why Kotoka International Airport. Your guess is as good as mine. And I think that there is a need to apply this discourse to the central themes of historiography, continuity and change. What is really significant, right, about continuing with the name, and why is it not significant to continue with the name? You would agree that a continuation of a name means that the name has gained some perpetuity. It is significant, right, to have that name to linger on, or there's a need to expunge that name, not only from our history, because we need to know the good, the bad, and not so good of our history, right, but to make it. Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening to you, Prof. I was just going to come in with the argument that for many, and this conversation has been one that has been lingering for quite a while. The argument is that it reminds us of an individual who partook in a coup that removed Ghana's first ever president, a man who's been celebrated as the greatest African in history, amongst others. We cannot continue to have the name of an individual who some say rid us of the opportunity to be a Malaysia of today as a name that continues to stay on the only international airport we have as a country.
I think the reason why it's persisted, we need not pretend, right? Some have argued that he's a liberator, right? Some have argued that he contributed to ending one-party rule in Ghana. But against all odds, you would agree with me that the CIA's involvement in the overthrow of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and the agents thereof who played their own role to ensure that the European and neo-colonial machinery persisted and made our space to be plundered here and there. We need to look at the lens of history and begin to make the right judgment. Why do we have to study history? Indeed, Kotoka was a fine general. He was a fine officer, but the tenure of his office, functioning as a soldier, ended him somewhere. He contributed to a major coup d'etat that brought about a major inflection point in Ghana's democratic culture.
Right.
That in itself has sent us into many, quandaries. And for that matter, it is important to question the name, question why it lingers, and question also why we should give credit to the coup.
Right.
Once we look at Kotoka International Airport, history is open to us. A fine general who ended up partaking in a bad action,
right,
coup d'etat,
Prof,
that distorted our democratic culture.
This has been thrown to us now. That bill is expected to be on its way to Parliament now that the House is returning. As to what the new name is, you and I both having this conversation right now have absolutely no idea. There's been different suggestions from different groupings. Off the top of my head, we know that the Ghana Dangbe Society had proposed the name resonates towards their inkling since the airport is based in Accra. It will spring forth new conversations as to what will be an appropriate name.
If you give me opportunity, I would rather propose names. I mean, from where I sit, right? The gentleman removed Nkrumah. Let's put Nkrumah's name there.
You believe putting Nkrumah there will satisfy all parties involved in?
It is not necessarily the case. It is to say that we need to celebrate our heroes and heroines. If you go to South Africa, you find R. Tambo, right? Oliver R. Tambo, right? Freedom fighters, those who fought for independence, those who were at the heart of the struggle in South Africa, from time to time have been commemorated.
Right.
We found places to name them. Look, I mean, if those who are haters of Nkrumah may not want his name there, those who feel that Nkrumah had built a one-party system and was operating therein. But I will tell you, Nkrumah is a juggernaut. He's a colossus.
Right.
Whether we like it or not, look at it from the traditions of the NPP or NDC or his own CPP, among other parties. He will stand tall, remain tall, indispensable, within Ghana's history, Ghana's political history, and Ghana's democratic history. So it is important that we appreciate names like that. Yes, there are other great heroes and heroines, the founders of the Ghana land, those who made great contribution, have made great contribution to the Ghana state, and have also, left legacies, right? The reasons, I've given him some reasons why we give names in Asante, in Akan, in Ever, or Ghana cosmology.
Right.
So I am sure that there will be a basis to find a name that will not divide opinion, but that name that will resonate first of all to the local people, and better still, when we have all embraced the nuance thereof, we will celebrate it and make it good. As a matter of fact, Kotoka divides opinion, and in this regard, as a major contributor to a coup d'etat that usurped Ghana's first president, we need not celebrate him and continue to do so.
Right then, Prof, I appreciate you joining us and for having this conversation with us in such quick notice. And also, we're going to take you to Parliament right now because that name change of Ghana's largest international airport, because there's another international airport in Kumasi, Prempeh the first. But the majority leader, Mahama Ayariga, is seeking to answer quite a number of questions in relation to bills coming before the legislature during this session of Parliament, which one of such bills will include this one, which is seeking to change the name of the Kotoka International Airport. Let's take you to Parliament right now for a listen in, and then perhaps a bit more details as to this new bill as well, seeking to change the name of the international airport.
And then also, you create provision, you make provision for counseling and other, rehabilitation, programs for people who, are engaged in alcohol abuse, and it is having health implications on them. So I think that's basically what they are trying to do. Yes, I think we've covered all the questions. So LGBTQ.
No,
LGBTQ.
My question is not
Privileges
committee.
Privileges, they're referring to Privileges Committee. Yes. We'll ask the chairman of the committee how far he has gone with his work. The first deputy speaker is the chairperson of the committee. If you recall, the referrals were done when we were busy with, the budget, and then immediately thereafter we went on recess. Members were not available to meet, and so it is only maybe this meeting that they will have the opportunity to look at those things. LGBTQ, I'm surprised you are asking me this question. You were in the House when I advocated that we should treat the bill as having been passed. You recall? I said treat it as having been passed because we worked on it in this House and then we passed it. And it was taken to a president and he refused to sign. There's no constitutional provision regarding what happens when he refuses to sign and then he's no longer president, but another person is sitting there as a president. So I advocated that. Let's treat it as having been passed. And then he doesn't return it to us. Then you people said, no, especially the minority. No, we won't treat it as passed. We won't treat it as passed. We must work on a new one. We said, okay, work on a new one and let's see. Now you are not able to work on a new one, and then you are blaming me that your new one is not getting traction. If you had agreed with me at that time, then let's treat it as passed, because as far as I'm concerned, we passed it. By now, we would have had LGBTQ legislation. But you chose a different route. Now, I don't determine, what business is given priority in the House. It's me and the Speaker and leadership. So when you don't raise those issues at the right forum, so those issues, I think that so far as I'm concerned, our side has always been committed to the bill being passed. The President has expressed his readiness to sign it any time that it is passed. He's raised a few issues which actually relate to media freedom, if you recall. Most of the concerns that the President raised had to do with just media freedom, because there are some provisions that tend to appear to, limit journalists and then make journalists punishable for, publishing certain things. And that was the concern of the President. He said beyond those ones, Everything else there, he doesn't really care. If you pass it, bring it, I'll sign it for you. So, President is ready. We, are ready as caucus. It's up to our friends who are pushing it to get it prioritized. The last one was a statement made that when I'm not in the chamber, my side, has difficulty debating. That's also not true. I think that a lot of the time I've not been in the chamber. Even when I'm in the chamber, most of the time I'm just sitting there and watching my side. I because I'm leader, I try to be present at all times, but I'm not speaking at all times. A lot of the time I'm sitting there the whole day, I don't say anything. And everybody else is talking, and then they're pushing things, especially my chief whip. And I'm just sitting there and supporting where I need to. I only come in most of the time when I really think that there's a need to come in and then push the side. But most of the time, it's actually the MPs, the committee chairperson, and their ministers, and then committee members pushing their legislation through. Some legislations have sat through and never even uttered a word, and yet they were debated and passed. So that's also not an accurate report. Pardon? Yeah, so I commend my MPs for the work that they do, and I will always be there to support whatever it is that we have to do together. I think.
And that's the Majority Leader, Mahama Yariga, answering a number of questions in relation to not just the name change, but also other bills expected before the legislature. But let's talk to you about something else this afternoon, Kamini.
Indeed. Now, Senior Staff Association of University of Ghana have announced a nationwide strike over government's failure to address their demands for improved working conditions despite numerous protests and negotiations. Joseph Armstrong Gold Alogbe is at the University of Ghana, where members are currently demonstrating. He joins us with a bit more.
They are saying that go from here. In fact, the strike
of universities here have declared an indefinite strike starting today, 3rd February 2026. I have here with me the chairperson. Let's get some briefing from her what has called for these and whether this, of course, is necessary as school just resumed. Madam, people are saying school just resumed and that you would want to reconsider your decision. But first of all, what has called for this strike?
Thank you very much. As I briefed you earlier, it has to do with our condition of service. It is a document that we have negotiated and agreed with government and Fair Wages and Salaries Commission that is the one that represented government for us to negotiate and come to an agreement. And this document contains a number of items, of which overtime is one of them. And from last year, the University of Ghana decided to vary that condition of service by saying that they will not pay the overtime to deserving workers. They will rather pay call-in allowance because they have had information from government that they shouldn't pay senior staff overtime allowance whenever they work beyond regular hours on weekends and on holidays.
So getting understanding clear, so you are moving from overtime to what we call call-in allowance.
Exactly.
That's what you are against.
Exactly so, but we don't know what call-in allowance is because we have a document, which is our condition of service. There is nothing like call-in allowance stated in that document. What we have is overtime to be paid to staff who work beyond the regular hours, work on holidays and on...
Is it a case that your money has been reduced moving from overtime to call-in allowance?
Exactly so, because the calculation for overtime is stipulated in the Labour Act. That of call-in, we do not know. But what we have observed is that it is going to make our people very worse off. And we all know, if you cannot make a situation better, you don't make it worse.
Do you know the difference?
It's so vast. The difference is just too much. And we don't even want to look at the difference. What we are saying is that even if it is more than the overtime that we were taking, we cannot accept it because it is not part of our conditions of service.
What other things have called for this strike?
we have the migration of the Unimac staff. You know, Unimac wasn't Unimac. We had 3 institutions that came together to form the University of Media and Information now. And when they were migrated, they were supposed to be paid certain allowances. And that has stalled for 4 years now. And the university has taken it upon, the staff has taken it upon themselves to write to remind the authorities, but it looks like they are not bothered. 4 years is enough time.
And the others, if you can list them straight.
The tier 2 is when we retire. And when we retire, our money is supposed to be given to the fund managers to invest so that when we are retiring, we can get a lump sum. When you retire, you are feeble, you are weak, you can no longer work. After serving your country and your university with all your energy, you go home and there is nothing because the monies were not being released to the fund managers on time to invest it.
What will make you change your mind?
Unless we see a reversal of overtime, call in to overtime, and then our tier 2 arrears paid, and also Unimac staff arrears.
This can take forever.
Well, that can take forever. It depends on the authorities. If they feel that we are not important, so be it. But for us, we don't even see this as something that they should have brought to this far. We have sacrificed so much over the years to work for the university. We are parents as well. We have our children in the university. This is where we gain our daily bread from. So we don't enjoy this. But we can also sit down for our conditions of service to be tampered with, which is not right. Yes. We pray they listen to us quickly. And then we also pray that the parents who have brought their children to the university just a few weeks ago that we have finished with the registration, they should speak up and let whatever we are asking for be given to us so that we can take care of their children, because their children have come here to study. And without us, work will not go on.
What's your name?
I am Gladys Alantia, the chairperson of the Senior Staff Association, Universities of Ghana, UG Local.
Gladys Alantia speaking to us on the decision to declare an indefinite strike beginning today.
Joseph Armstrong with that report. We'll now connect with TV3's Noura Mohammed, who is at the Central Business District of Accra, monitoring the continuation of decongestion exercise carried out by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly to rid the city of congestion, constant vehicular traffic, and guarantee safety of pedestrians and traders. Noura, good afternoon to you. What can you report from there?
We're here at the Central Business District of Accra, where a decongestion exercise is taking place. Now, if you recall, last year in May, the Accra Mayor, together with the Metropolitan Assembly, came to the Central Business District to reinforce and reintroduce the red line policy. And this was to ensure that the traders do not encroach the pavement and to sell their wares and their goods behind the demarcated red lines on the pavement. But then during the Christmas festivities, the Accra Mayor gave the traders some reprieve and then ensured that although they sold on the red lines, they gave them an ultimatum to eventually go back behind the red lines come February 1st. And on Sunday, February 1st, sticking to their promise, the Metropolitan Assembly came back to sack the traders and to tell them to go back behind the red lines, essentially to reinforce the red line policy. We're here to monitor the process. We can see that the traders and the Metropolitan Assembly task force are in some kind of disagreements here and there, but then the authorities are trying to ensure that the right thing is done. So let's engage some traders and hear what they have to say.
Yeah, Papa, Mr. President, say, yeah, mletchre na payment no sunda ho, no be sia wanya kwan. And omo ya pepepe. Afa ya be shedwa, omo ba say Kibu school, mammy, no one no say, yam free her. Yansu, you are 35 years in ye. Ah, Juma, and yan 35 years in ye, me yes, started me Tomakoa. Mammy, where you were son or buyer. And people time, Nina, ya shadow, mammy, wait, Nanitria. Nana, dear, nim de ayano, or say young payan cock, or say Kibu school, extra for you now, so Montrasi, but ya paddy young cock. Yes, Mr. President. Yes, Papa John Mama. My boko to join me panic chow. On can be my no who ya mabo. Ayan ye bibia. And what we are so. ɛwɔ musa mɛma boa sɛ so ya mmoa ɛnkɔ yɛnim nti yɛsrɛ no yɛne bibia kapa atwɔ ne yɛpɔ ne kyɔ so ɔho yɛ mmɔbɔ sɛdeɛ ɔyɛ ma yɛ daa no ɔyɛ ne saa ma yɛ nti yɛsrɛ no yɛatwe akɔ nkyɛn ɛnkyɛn no so si no ɔmo si daabi ebi mu so hyɛ ɔmo si yɛngya akwan sɛ yɛate ase yɛagya akwan no akɔtena ban no ho
yɛkasa ɔmo bɛba abɛhwɛ ama yɛ nti anɔpɛ kora mɛyɛ no abɛsen wɔ ha ɔse yɛma no 2 days tɔ bɛba abɛhwɛ ama yɛ nti sɛ yɛwɔ ha yɛtwɛn no
deɛ ɔmo yɛ ndeɛ ɛni kwan so a mempa nyɛ fa yɛ asiba no na mefi yɛ naka no afi ɔda afi sie ne ɛna meka wɔ ya mipatɔ fa kamera ne hwɛ ama me fa kamera ne hwɛ ama me kamera ma aha no ɔmo di ase ɔbɛni mu ti akyi sesi a mo ti yɛn kɔ kan mu ɛna ha nso space ni ɔma yɛ yɛbɛka ɔmo enti yɛn ho kyiri yɛ wɔ yɛn fi wɔ wa wɔn gba me fa yɛ asiba me ameka wa ka wɔ no ameka wɔ no wa vote am e wɔ ka no ko ame consider wɔ fi o wɔn kpa fai na me ba ti gbe keba ka ameka gbe po ba pavement e wɔ ya pavement e na abu bi e fi o ka moko ba eni e ba ko pavement e na edomo wɔ yen ni si na ameka wɔ ya wɔ bi ane wɔ ja tuponya joleje ni wɔ gbeme wɔ ba na se keje manke 2 o'clock nimba indomo shi ina se matashi
de yenhyemre nim kakra na we no kura no mo pam obi amfa so because once a payment na nye straight ko esa adua ne nti nye straight nti ko mo yenhyemre nim ha kakra won be once bi mo so wa akire na yensu ya begu ha maka o mo ye campaign so mo ka che so mo mpam ye o me yati o metuma renji ama yatena pam ye ne sese ye ho kire too much because ye do so ina bi mo ye nim na ebi mu anti at least no mo de mo ya mo won se dua no nti mo ma yemra ne se kakra.
The decongestion exercise continues, and the Accra Metropolitan Assembly still has their task force all over the Central Business District to ensure that the traders comply with the red line policy and to make sure that there's space within the markets, the streets, and everywhere is kept in an orderly manner. I am Noura Mohammed reporting live from the Central Business District of Accra. Over to you back at studios.
Now, there's a quiet storm building in Ghana's cocoa sector, and it is hitting the people who can least afford it. Across the country, cocoa farmers are waiting. They have harvested, they have delivered, but the money is as yet to hit their accounts. Since November of 2025, thousands of cocoa farmers have not been paid for the beans delivered to government. At the center of this crisis is a deep breakdown in the way Ghana funds its cocoa industry. Cocoa Board is now carrying a debt load of over 20 billion cedis, fueled by years of subsidies, heavy losses from currency swings, and legacy debts. Instead of taking its usual billion-dollar syndicated loan to pay farmers, Cocoa Board has asked international cocoa buyers to pay 60% of their contracts upfront. But when global cocoa prices started falling, buyers pulled back. The money is dried up, and the licensed buying companies on the ground were left without the cash they need to pay farmers. All of this comes during one of Ghana's weakest harvests in 2 decades. The crop has been battered by disease, unpredictable rains, and the growing damage caused by illegal mining in farming communities. Let's unpack all of this for you right now for you and take you to the dashboard right now and get an understanding as to what really is playing out within Ghana's cocoa sector. And then we'll get a bit more from some of the buyers. A produce buying company, one of the main engines in terms of Ghana's cocoa sector, will help us get an understanding as to what it is that we're seeing play out. And so here's where we are in terms of the debt situation hanging over the sector. as a result of subsidies, legacy debt, cocoa roads, mind you, also one of the many things which has constituted huge debt overhangs over the head of cocoa board. Commitments, some of which they could not fulfill in previous years. You know that we are taking syndicated loans. Our production levels in terms of beans could not match up, and so there were deficits which had to be taken care of and what have you. And then as well, operational losses. We heard the president, then when he was candidate, speak to the cost in terms of running the office alone of cocoa board being unsustainable amongst many other things, and it being one of the many challenges which have bedeviled the sector. But outside of all of that, one of the many things which is affecting the cocoa sector right now is pricing. We've moved from up here as at May, June of 2025, which is what? $10,000 plus, almost $11,000 to $4,215 per ton of cocoa. That obviously affects price, how much you can give farmers, and not forgetting the performance of the city as well, making the value in terms of what you're getting in the city as well suffer as a result of it right now. But in all of this, we're seeing what our export values as well have been, or in terms of the revenue we've been getting from cocoa for the year 2025, being pegged at some $3.86 billion. And you see the different quarters from last year. The first quarter we did 1.5 billion. Second quarter we dropped to 572. The third quarter 392, and then we went back up to 1.3 billion as at the last quarter. But here is where the model and the approach changed, or has changed, between then and now. And so previously, we approached all of this via the syndicated loan avenue, right? So we go in for the loans, and that also comes in as Forex, helps show up the revenue, or the city, I should say, and all of that. So now that has changed. This is a new model, which you're seeing here, where it's buyer prepayment. The funding source is 60% upfront payment from global cocoa buyers. We receive $500 million. And how do we make sure that the money gets to the farmers? Cocoa board depends on buyer cash to fund the license buying companies, and then they in turn will take that to the farmers. The cost of the country, now we've eroded, or we've taken away completely the high interest we were paying as a result of the syndicated loan as well. But we're no longer paying the interest, but buyers are pulling out, and that will come with its own challenges, which we're seeing play out right now. And the payments have delayed, and buyers are hesitant, and we're not able to get the money to the farmers, and we're seeing the sector being stressed. But just in quick comparison, in terms of high export earners and what is bringing in a lot of the Forex to us as a country, we've seen gold now take an astronomical leap in terms of it being one of the biggest exports earnings for us as a country. And just look at the trajectory from September of 2021, where it was at 32 for gold and 20.1 for cocoa, to where we are right now. We're at, as at November of 2025, gold was doing 67.4% of export earnings for us, while cocoa was doing 12.4%. And that's where we are at in terms of the pricing. Nana Obuadio Pambo Bonsu is president of the Concerned Cocoa Farmers Association of Ghana. He's joining us right now for a quick conversation. Mr. Bonsu, we appreciate you joining us. How have the recent payment delays affected your ability to prepare for the next planting season?
Yeah, well, thank you very much, and pleasant afternoon, your viewers. And then I would say happy chocolate day, because February has been declared as a chocolate day, which with the farmers that produce the cocoa as of now for the past 3 months have not received any payment. So I think it is a very serious disaster on the side of we the farmers. Right. As I'm speaking to you, there's a lot of budget that we have reached, thinking about that we are supposed to execute it. We are not being able to do that. So it has made the situation very difficult for us to live.
In terms of what changes you want to see, just briefly, what would you like to see in terms of the model being used now? Because obviously the strain is on you, the farmers.
Yeah, well, when we talk about models and other things, there are a lot of concerns that have been raised that farmers have to sell their cocoa themselves, but which I think is not going to be right, because the cocoa board have the monopoly, have the right to sell cocoa in this country, which we all know. And with the current situation that the farmers are passing through, it's a serious headache, because you are still, I don't know, where you work now, I think you have been paid. If for the past 3 months or 2 months you have not been paid, I don't think you'll still be at the studio talking to me by now. So it is something that we are calling for. We know that the cocoa board, they are doing things about it. The Ministry of Finance, our brother, Honorable Forcing, is forcing to make sure that our money will come, but it has delayed, which has been a worry for us. And I know that currently, as I'm talking to you now, there's an ongoing meeting at Cocoa Board, which I think maybe it will be the payment of our money. So I want to assure some of the farmers and all farmers across the country that let us wait with this very week and see how best we hear from the outfit of the finance ministry.
Right. Nana Obuade, I appreciate you joining us, and I'm sure it's a concern we may come back to you on again. Let me go on to Zoom quickly and speak to Thomas Isikuma, who's the Deputy Managing Director, Finance, the Produce Buying Company Limited, as well, on what it is that we're seeing. Mr. Kuma, you're part of the LBCs. You buy the cocoa and what have you. What is your own understanding and how we can begin to try and get out of the quagmire we find ourselves in?
Thank you very much. Greetings to your listeners, my brother. I think your preamble said it all. The model that used to exist in the internal marketing of cocoa has changed, and it changed since 2023-24 cocoa season, from the syndication type to the off-taker type, where processors will have to come in with their money, 60% of it, just like you enumerated, to pre-finance the purchase of cocoa beans. So we are at a point where the price of cocoa has dropped drastically from around the $10,000s and $9,000 per ton to almost about $5,000. And off-takers or processors don't find it. They don't find it operationally
it's not attractive to them
and profitable to come into Ghana and buy cocoa at the current producer market price and go and sell at a loss. So this is what is causing the brouhaha in the system.
Just quickly, how do we begin to try and get out of this? I understand there are meetings ongoing, but this will mean further costs on government coffers. For you in the sector, what are the other ingenious ways we can begin to try and get around this?
So it's a decision Cocoa Board and probably government, Ministry of Finance will have to take, whether to reduce producer price to a level that is appreciable to off-takers, or government is ready to absorb the cost that will result from the purchase of cocoa at the current producer price level. So I think the meetings that are going on, as Nana Obuahen mentioned, is something that is going to come out with a clear path for us to get out of this quagmire.
Right.
So we at LBC are all waiting for the response from Cocoa Board.
I'm sure we'll get a bit more on this subsequently, but more often than not, it results in the government having to swallow in terms of subsidy for the farmers, because if you know what the cocoa politics is like in this country, a reduction in producer price will cause an absolute state. That will take us on to our very first break here on the bulletin. When we return, we have a bit more for you here on News Central. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. Now, the Volta MP's caucus is threatening an action against 2 construction companies working on roads in the Volta region and the government's flagship project, the Big Push. The MPs, while on a tour of ongoing projects in the region Monday, cited Greenhouse International Developers Ghana and the China Railway Group for non-performance and threatened to have their contracts terminated. Let's get details of the story. Faisal Abdul-Idrisu is our correspondent following this closely. Faisal, what else can you tell us about this?
So yesterday, the Volta MP's caucus embarked on the tour of all government projects in the region, starting with the ongoing University of Health and Allied Sciences campus to be built in Howe. That project some time back stalled, but now the contractor is back on site. Then they moved to the Kave to Howe stretch of the Eastern Corridor Road, where Greenhouse International Developers is supposed to be working. They moved to site since last year. And before I tell you what the MPs observed yesterday, in December last year, the representatives from the Volta Regional House of Chiefs and the regional minister, in the company of some other stakeholders, including the Ghana Highways Authority, embarked on a tour on that stretch. And the sentiment the chiefs shared was that the progress of work on that particular stretch was too slow for their liking. Yesterday, when the MPs visited the road, they shared a similar sentiment. They moved to the whole to Aplau stretch, where they also observed that the stretch between the whole airport to Howe, to Kwetwe, which is to be done by the China Railway Company, they are not on site yet. And what it means is that no work is ongoing on that part of the road yet. They observed that, well, work on all other roads that have been awarded and the contractors on site is progressing steadily, except that these 2 contractors on these portions that I mentioned, the 53.3 kilometer stretch that is Have to Howe, and also the 7 kilometer plus, because that is supposed to be more than 7 kilometer anyway, between the whole airport junction to Kwetwe, which is supposed to be done by the China Railway. Nothing is being done on that road. And they are threatening that they may be forced to ask the roads minister to terminate the contract for these 2 companies if nothing is done within these very few days after they have left.
Faisal, we know
Let's have a listen to the Honorable Emmanuel.
Right, go ahead.
Emmanuel, you can go ahead.
We'll take a listen to the MPs on this matter.
The entire Volta region has become a construction site. That is what we are, observing, witnessing, and we will continue to monitor and coordinate the affairs of all these contractors. We see them as our development partners, and we urge them to do quality work with speed. They have been given 24 months, and some of them have promised that they will even do it within 18 months. And we have seen some progress so far. And the work is so competitive that if you are a contractor, you are not working, you'll be exposed. And you can see it for yourself. Those who are working or performing and those who are not performing. You have seen it for yourself, and we believe that those who are not performing will catch up. And we encourage them also to organize more site meetings, bring all the stakeholders together, the MPs, the DCs, the traditional authorities, and if possible, they should also engage other ordinary citizens so that we can carry all of them along.
We have concern with 2 of the contractors, the greenhouse construction. We've noticed that they are not performing at all. And then when we go to China Railway, they are not at site at all. These 2, we have concern and we'll report that to the minister. If they have to giving it to somebody else to do, we'll do that. We don't want the delay. They've given us 24 months. Within that 24 months, we want to see all projects under the Big Push in the Volta region completed. If you cannot perform, if you're a foreign company and you cannot perform, let the local companies do their work. But if the Chinese cannot perform, we relocate them, send them into some of the feeder roads to go and work there. Having said that, we want to commend the contractors contractors highly, and Ghana Highways Authority as well, and all those who are on site and who are performing. We want to commend them. We only wish them that within the contract period they'll be able to complete.
Well, we had some members of the Volta caucus in Parliament. Faisal, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you, Kamini.
Let's stay on matters relating to infrastructure and road development, because work on the Wenchi-Bole-Wa Highway under the Big Push is progressing steadily. A visit to Waka Waka site saw contractors busily working on the road. The 195-kilometer road project is a key one under the 13.8 billion cedis Phase 1 of Ghana's Big Push infrastructure program. The project involves upgrading the Sunyain-Techiman-Boli-Bamboy stretch of the N12 with a focus on delivering high-quality, durable road infrastructure. The project was formally initiated with a sword-cutting ceremony on November 5, 2025 by the President. Let's stay there and get a bit more from my colleague Christopher Mwako, who is monitoring as well. Chris, what's been the reaction of community members living along this stretch as to the progress of the road?
Yes, so Marina, we do know that this particular road linked several communities and regions together, and so the economic activities of the people living around this area is highly dependent on this particular road. And so for community members and stakeholders, they are very happy that the contractors are finally on site and work has commenced. They are only hopeful that the locals will be employed going forward into this construction. The contractor will meet the timeline so that it will open up the area for economic activities. Let's take a listen to what the Member of Parliament for the Bole-Bamboy constituency has to say on this particular matter.
I expect all contractors who are coming to Bole district to work to employ the people within the districts. This is also to create jobs, and so don't take the jobs somewhere. We, the people of Bole-Bamboy, have been left out for a very long time. The time has come for us to also be recognized. And so I'm appealing to you people, contractors, any job within the Bole-Bamboy constituency that you think our people can do it, please help us and let them also benefit from this. Like I said, even if I'm not in town, there are people who on daily basis who come around to assist in whichever forms to ensure that contractors are able to do their work and do it well. There's a contractor who will take care of Chache-Bole Road. I'll be going to that road as well. And then he will also take care of the Bole Town roads. Some drawings are taking place to ensure that we get everything right. And as soon as that is done, the Bole Town roads will also start, the contractor will also start constructing them. You have just listened to me speaking with my brother, the contractor, Ali Marpoma, and he's giving us all the assurances. Let me thank the good people of Bole-Bamboy for your patience. Let me thank the chiefs for their cooperation. And let me thank everybody who is in this area for the kind of cooperation we are seeing amongst you and amongst us.
Chris, just quickly, you've seen the progress with your own eyes. Talk to us about it and whether or not it is as has been said.
Yes, it is progressing steadily, as indicated. It is only I hope that this road is completed within the scheduled time of 24 months, so that the people living within these areas can benefit from this particular road. You know that it's been on the radar for a very long time, and this is the time that it's going to get some facelifts.
Thank you very much, Chris. Christopher Marco is my colleague. We'll end with the Minister of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ahmed Ibrahim, who's underscored the Mohammed administration's unwavering dedication to accountability as a fundamental pillar of local governance and fostering sustainable development. His remarks were delivered at the Bono Regional House of Chiefs in Sunyain. There's a report by Claude Kumiebisa.
During a meeting with the Bono Regional House of Chiefs in Sunyane, Minister Ahmed Ibrahim urged metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives to demonstrate diligence in their roles or risk eviction from office.
The Mahama government is accountability conscious. Young ministers
we the ministers don't sleep, as well as our leader. Therefore, you the MMDCs should not relax in your offices, else you will lose your position by this first quarter.
First quarter we are this now by 31st March you will speak.
The minister further disclosed that the ministry's Social Accountability Committee will play a crucial role in overseeing MMDC performance and accountability.
The Social Accountability Committee
The Social Accountability Committee will be visiting you to account to the people as required by President Mahama. The Bono Regional Minister, Joseph Adaya Kwabwa, announced to the Assembly his timeline for delivering accountability to the residents of the region. Hopefully, by early April, I'll be accounting to the residents of Bono concerning where we started and where we are at the moment. In response to the government initiative, President of the Bono Regional House of Chiefs, Osajefo Osadeyo, Dr. Ajimabedu II, praised the NDC administration for its Big Push initiative aimed at enhancing local development. However, he expressed disappointment about the slow progress on the Brekum-Sampa Road, urging for expedited action to address the issue.
Brekum-Sampa, yeah, Big Push ya the
We are grateful to the government for being beneficiaries of the Big Push, but unfortunately, work on the Brekum-Sampa Road is not encouraging at all. The road is very crucial to us because it connects some of our big towns along the stretch. We want the contractor to up his game because the dust is too much and it is killing us. Claude Kumi Ebisa, TV3 News, Sunyane.
As our bulletin for you this afternoon, I am Mawina Egbeta.
And I am Kemeni Amano. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.